I'd like to share a few excerpts from Master's letters to the New York and New England initiates. This is mainly from 1969, 68 to 70, in the early 70s. And it's from an unpublished book that was sent out to the initiates. The first one is on self-pity and self-condemnation. Self-pity and excessive condemnation is equally bad, as it leaves this ugly effect of remorse and unwanted gloom, which feeds the mind, harming the mental composure and equipoise, which is essentially a basic prerequisite for successful meditations. Please learn to be independent, cheerfully attending to your mundane duties in a severe and detached manner. Regular devotional meditations fill the gap, and the emotions are subdued for a nobler and pious cause. Life need not be frittered away in unnecessary wranglings or baser sense pleasures, but instead should be best utilized for a higher purpose of liberation of soul from the mire of mind and matter. Please shake off all morbid feelings and feel happy for doing your part with sincere and loving humility. It is a human paradox that the more one runs after one's cherished desires, the more intricate and complex these become, bringing in nervous confusion. So why should you ever care for others where you have much to accomplish for your own betterment? It's unfortunate, and this is to another initiate, it's unfortunate that you have allowed this inferiority of personality to creep into your behavior. It seems to be your own creation, and you can mend it by careful living. The initiate should avoid uncongenial surroundings, but it should not mean a boycott from amiable social contacts. You should give out the 5 charged names anytime you feel in adverse circumstances, needless when such like nervousness seizes you. You will improve with His grace. You should try to forget all about your mind and I-ness. It's simply you're harping on it and feeding its ego by constantly thinking about it, which disturbs you. You must know that regular meditations replace the vicious qualities of the mind with virtuous ones and gradually culminate in rising above vice and virtue both. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what serene peace and harmony awaits you within during meditations. Beyond a wholesome discipline, please be gentle with yourself. Such an attempt shall bless you with profound joy and bliss. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in all spheres of life. Never feel disturbed with imaginings. The Master never censors the faults and failings of his disciples. He only advises that they do not repeat them. You should therefore be careful in the future in regard to your diet, as each lapse in this regard will retard your spiritual progress. And this is concerning the mind. Now, as to the lapses or departures from the right way, as you call them, the mind, as you know, works in subtle ways, too subtle for an ordinary man to detect, and then to detect rightly and in time before the mischief is done. It is from the abundance of heart that all actions, oral as well as physical, proceed. We have, therefore, to be mentally alert about our thought waves, so as to be able in time to mark their ebb and flow, and then bypass them by the process of concentration, forgetting all about the mind and the mental states, including even the pure mind essence, which gossamer-like envelops the soul. It is the memory of our experiences in the distant past and in the living present that constantly and irresistibly follow us at our heels. And since we have not yet learned to keep aloof and above them, the lapses occur in spite of us. The enumeration process is just the first step to be cognizant of our desires. That's referring to the diary at the end of the day, remembering what we thought, did, and said during that time. It's the enumeration process is just the first step to be cognizant of our doings, which we are likely to overlook in our self-righteous assertiveness. Thoughts are to be watched, which precede actions. It is a slow yet steady process of gradual improvement for which an all-out effort is necessary. A well-disciplined and spiritually regulated life is very much essential. You are not to look up to humans or even satsangis for emulating their qualities. No one is perfect under the sky, yet perfection is our goal. The more you are advanced, more of reverential humility will dawn in you, and in due course, you will find yourself as a humble tool in the divine hands of the gracious Master Power. It is the climax and zenith of spiritual attainment. I would advise you not to dwell too much on ratiocination, for it tends to scatter the mind. This thinking self continues to be with us for quite a long time, its range extending from the physical to causal states. And until all these states, which constitute the mind zone, are successfully crossed, it does not drop off. Until this point is gained, neither the thought of self will go, nor your actions will be purely selfless. It's the ego in us that is assuming to itself the credit for all actions, and hence it is the cause of bondage. Be egoless, and you will become free from the binding effect of karmas. And then further on, appreciable inner progress cannot be made until you learn to lead a well-regulated and disciplined life. A regular schedule of devoted meditations, morning and evening, coupled with weeding out all lower desires and sensual impulses, will bless you with inner strength and fortitude to carry out your daily obligations, and also ensure inner spiritual progress. Your spiritual progress is dear to me, and I wish you to take advantage of this golden opportunity given to you in the man body, and strive to make renewed efforts to fulfill your spiritual obligations to yourself and to your Master. My blessings are always with you. It is for you to become consciously aware of the divine presence of the gracious Master Power, who is with you at all times. If you make self and God realization your objective in life, regardless of what profession you engage yourself in, you will awaken to the knowledge of His loving guidance and protection with you every step of the way. In this way, there will be need to be no acting and no posing. The study of philosophy of the Masters, published by the Bias Satsang, is a free translation of the book Gurmat Siddhant. When I was in India in 1967, I wanted to find all the books about, that was written on Satmat. And I had learned that there were 6 volumes published by the Bias Satsang that was a compilation of the Gurmat Siddhant that Master Kirpal had written with the help of Solemn, internally. And Cuckoo decided that this was not necessary, that I didn't need to read them. He's just the same thing in any of Master's works. But I didn't listen and I bought them. But here's Master is saying, on the whole, these 6 volumes are worth reading. Some valuable footnotes have been omitted. If, however, you feel confused anywhere, you're welcome to seek clarification. So that was confirmation of what Cuckoo had said to me. An unbiased and careful study of the sacred books published from here will bless you with more of right understanding. Those do not require further interpretation. Howsoever, if you will attempt to elaborate the subtle points discussed in them, you shall have to be more receptive by eliminating yourself totally and let the gracious Master Power work through you. Smooth channels do get moist with the inflow of divine grace, and for deriving maximum benefit, you should be more self-effacing, self-abnegating, and humble. I had mentioned some time ago about a letter that a dear Sevadar at St. Bani, Gerald, had received. Most letters that Master Kirpal would send to us would end with the beautiful sentences that he would close. He would say, "Please be regularly and lovingly devoted to your holy meditations with deep faith and sacred earnestness. Master Power working overhead will be extending all feasible help, grace, and protection." Well, one time, Carol received a letter from Master Kirpal, and instead of that, he wrote to Gerald, "With kind thoughts, I wish you to engage with all your mind and soul in the service of the Holy Word, and the Holy Word will take care of you." Well, he puzzled over this, and he shared the letter with us, and we wondered, what exactly this meant, So Gerald wrote Master, and Master replied, "Service of the Holy Word simply means that you commune with, or tune yourself to, the holy sound current, which is the life impulse enlivening everything in the vast creation, visible or invisible. It is the life of our life, the very first principle of Godhood, for God in action as it is, has to be contacted, absorbed in, and co-mingled with. A dip into it is a dip into the ocean of all consciousness, and purifies the soul of myriads of karmic impressions lodged in the mind throughout the countless ages. This then is the service to the Holy Word, or the Holy Ghost, which manifests as the divine light and divine sound. Mind," and he continues to Gerald, "mind has a vast sphere of activity. It resents inner silence and absorption, with the result that instead of quietness, more of confusion intrudes. You are requested to avoid all thoughts whatsoever all along your daily chores, and try to keep your mind enchained, either with the Simran of the charged names, loving remembrance of the Master, or listening to the holy sound current as coming from the right side. This is the sublime solution for all the troubles caused by the mind. You will find that such a sacred schedule will have salutary effect on your regular holy meditations, which will become more fruitful and will grace you with more harmony." And this was to the letter writer who first mentioned the inferiority complex that she had. I was with her when she received this letter, expressing again the same feelings that she had written to Master, expressing the same feelings. And Master said, "The love of the Master for the initiate is impersonal, carrying a deep spiritual significance. It's a sacred spark of sanctitude lit in the soul by the gracious Master at the time of initiation. It fructifies rapidly in a heart full of loving obedience and reverential humility. I always had love for you, and you are still dear to me, and I wish you progress spiritually. Be rest assured." I appreciate your keen interest in God's kingdom when you feel affinity with His creation. Spiritually illumined, do find sermons in stones and songs in rivulets. Your sacred efforts for glorifying nature in its varying forms of creation are auspicious. All similar enterprises undertaken in a spirit of dedication and sincerity can be classified as doing Master's work. All the lovers of God cherish oneness with His creation. It is the innate love of God present in spirit which invokes feelings of brotherhood of man and fatherhood of God. Man, animals, birds, and all others are our brothers. It is in your deep compassion for the lower forms of creation when you relish to contribute to the preservation. These are kindly sentiments which evolve in pure, humble, and noble hearts. And in the last section from this book, the highest service and devotion one can offer to the Master is to live a life full of sublime dedication and piety, and remain attuned to the holy Nam by regular, faithful, and accurate meditations. Love is the panacea for all ills of life, physical, moral, and intellectual. The divine love for the Master surpasses all disciplines, all austerities that are undertaken at the intellectual level. It is a rare subject concerning more with the heart than with the head. Loving devotion and dedication to the Master is the stepping stone to progress on the spiritual way. When you step over the intellect by complete mergence of your will with His divine will, you then will taste the real elixir of life. And I also want to share one section of a letter that Reno Serene sent out after Master Kirpal had left the body. A few months later, Master's representative on the West Coast, Reno Serene, sent out 2 booklets of letters for our consolation. And those letters consisted of specific letters that Master had written Reno, as well as some letters that Master had sent to Reno to let him know what some of the problems satsangis were having and for him to help them in their guidance. And this is one of those letters that, to me, epitomizes some of the problems that satsangis have with the minutiae, you might say, of things like what foods we should eat, what should she abstain from, like coffee, tea, sugar, this and that. And Master wrote back to him a couple of paragraphs that I think encapsulate the question in probably the most simple way possible, clear way that really, really helped some of us to understand the importance of what Master was trying to help us understand. So this is what he says to the man that wrote. Now concerning your inquiries relating to the use of refined crystallized sugar by the satsangis, Mr. Fred Paul has really done a fine job by the intensive study he has made on the subject. His findings are well calculated and firmly balanced. Sugar in whatever form, whether it's white, black, brown, or clean raw, is injurious to health, and the white is the more hazardous. It is an inorganic substance and foodless food. It's devitaminized and devitalized, and if one could avoid it, the better it would be. But to taboo the use of sugar by the satsangis on an ethico-spiritual grounds will be going too far and making things too difficult, as you say. In the common run of life, there are many things which one cannot do without. A certain percentage of alcohol, for example, is always a base in the preparations of most of the medicines, and even homeopathic remedies have to be prepared with the help of the mother tincture. Can we, in this age, do away with the uses of the same, or, in like way, do away with injections or transfusions of blood, or implanting of eyes and heart, which are so very necessary in the interest of health? Such things stretched to unreasonable lengths would make life a burden and Sant Mat unworkable. Instead of getting lost in the details of life, our emphasis must be on the practice of the Holy Word and tapping within. As a rule, we should consider all these things on the basis of which is the least sin, and become a conscious co-worker of the divine plan, losing all sense of ego or doership. We must learn to take hold of the trunk, and the branches and leaves will take care of themselves. Holy Word is the panacea for all ills and contaminations, maybe old or new, for all will get singed in the forest fire of Nam, reducing everything to a rubble. But mind, it does not give you license to do as we may. We have to be content by taking the line of least resistance and strive for a goal with all our heart, with all our mind, and with all our strength. To wit, to catch the sound current and to rise up to our eternal home. When you become the conscious co-worker of the divine plan, you see that He is the doer and not you. And as such, all sins are washed away. This is our Master. And in closing, I'd like to just share the few lines from the end of stanza 5 of the Japji, which beautifully sums up who the Master is. The Master is the song eternal, the word personified. He is the Vedas, the scriptures. He is saturated with the divine. He is Shiva. He is Vishnu, and he is Brahma, and their consorts, Parvati, Lakshmi, and Sarasvati also. The greatness of the Master, even if known, cannot be described with mortal eloquence. My Master has taught me one thing. He is the Lord of everything. Him I may never forget. Thank you.